Well, I'm John Bays. I was born into agriculture. My dad had a farm and I was drafted into work at 5 years old and I've been doing it ever since. Wheat is probably one of our #1 cash crops, but we've got into a pretty intense rotation. So we're growing some peas, mustard, lentils, garbanzos, flax. We've added in some ancient grains. And our regenerative motto is to keep the ground covered with a growing plant. Our conservation practices include doing no-till, continuous crop, cover crop. We're trying to reduce wind erosion and water erosion and conserve moisture. One issue we got to work on yet in some of our draws that we're having little erosion issues that we could still get some help from the NRCS to work on that.
My name is Cody Garcia. I'm an agronomist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service in Bozeman. Now, what makes it unique to work with Highland Harmony Farm and John is their top-down perspective, but their bottom-up management. They have a very profound understanding, I feel like, of a lot of the deficiencies in our food systems, and they're not viewing what they're doing as making money so much as making food. They're looking at plant tissue testing and soil testing to see where we're micronutrient deficient, which a lot of folks aren't looking at.
With NRCS, the programs we've been working on is the cover cropping, crop rotation, the stripper header, and then soil testing. The stripper header comes through and just pulls the head off, leaves that tall stubble. Well, then winter comes and we get 3 or 4 inches of snow and we always get wind. Well, that stubble catches the snow, and then when spring comes, it appears that the snow melts into the stubble a little bit sooner than it does in the bare ground where there's just a drift. The idea is we're collecting more moisture. It's keeping the ground a little bit cooler so crops might not come off quite as early, but then when it gets hot and dry, like right now, then this is when we're going to really start seeing a benefit.
Yeah, I think all of it integrates and all of it goes back to essentially feeding the microbial community. I mean, they all have a number of benefits on the landscape immediately, as far as improving soil organic matter, reducing wind and water erosion, things like that. But it all goes back to either feeding the microbial community or providing habitat for the microbes in the soil. The health of the soil ecosystem is directly reflected in plant health. If there is a weak link somewhere in that chain, if there's a breakdown somewhere within those processes, if there's a pause or a stop in the nutrient cycle, then obviously we have a nutrient deficiency in the plant, which will start to express in certain ways. We'll see chlorosis or yellowing of the plant tissues, things like that. A number of other ways that those deficiencies will express, but again, it's a direct reflection.
These NRCS programs, they really help us. Cody and the crew, we depend on them for help morally and psychologically and a little financially.
We worked with Sadie to install a high tunnel, and we've got plans to proceed with another high tunnel as well here in the near future. And so that has to do with the market garden portion of the operation.
The vast majority of what I've made so far on this new little market farm comes from inside this 90 by 36 tunnel. I personally have cut flowers and vegetables and berries. And then we also have a little bit of flour corn and dry beans. When we practice conservation crop rotation, then we move through different crops on the same piece of ground without ever leaving it fallow, and that helps build up different types of soil life as well as never leaving it naked and exposed to the elements, which helps retain water and continually build soil life, which in our environment we have such a short growing season that's crucial that you're using that time to build up your soil life.
When you have a healthier soil ecosystem, that leads to better plant vigor, more nutrient-dense plants, which in turn means more nutrient-dense foods.
Cody has been very helpful and willing to get his hands dirty when needed, and always kind and thoughtful. It's nice to have the funds that come in for the programs and everything, but the moral support is like invaluable.
I feel like just as much as John and Sadie might talk about us, providing them with moral support and keeping them going, I feel like they just as much keep me going. They're folks like them, they're the reason that I started the career that I did and why I continue to do what I do.
We've always been the weirdos that try new things, and I don't know, I think having a kind of adventurous spirit, it's like I'm gonna do it whether I get help or incentives or not, so I'm compelled to do it.
It's important to me to take good care of the earth. We've been entrusted to do the best we can, and the earth has been good to me. I want to do the best I can for it.